He couldn't go home for the holidays, but what he did instead changed his life forever. Under the vast skies of a quiet town, in the heart of Kono, a village in north-central Nigeria, the story of a boy named John began. He was born into a modest family, a household rich in values, but poor in material possessions. His parents did what they could, but life was hard. There were nights the sound of empty pots echoed louder than lullabies. And still, John dreamed. From an early age, John stood out not for any flamboyance, but for his calm resilience. He was the kind of boy who would sit quietly under a mango tree after school, staring into the distance, thinking far beyond his surroundings. Though his family could barely afford his schooling, John never once considered dropping out. He knew education was his only real ticket out of poverty. When he moved to live with his aunt in a northern town during his secondary school years, things didn't get easier. Her home was already crowded, her resources stretched thin. But she had a kind heart, and John was grateful even if it meant waking up before dawn to fetch water, help clean, and walk miles to school barefoot. Life in the north taught John something valuable: rhythm and routine. The beat of discipline. He learned to adjust, to survive. He studied under candlelight, often borrowing textbooks from classmates. His shoes wore out, but his spirit never did. Eventually, he made it back to his hometown to study at a state university. But this new chapter came with its own battles. The excitement of getting admission faded quickly. Tuition fees were high. The cost of textbooks, transport, feeding, everything felt like a mountain. Worse still, John couldn't afford to travel back home for holidays. His mates went home with suitcases filled with dirty clothes and came back with foodstuffs, gifts, and renewed hope. John stayed back. He stayed in the hostel, empty, silent, ghostly. While the laughter of other students echoed in WhatsApp statuses, John was alone, with little to eat and nowhere to go. He'd boil Gary in hot water and sip it like tea. He was broke, isolated, but not broken. And despite it all, he never stole. He never joined a gang. He never tried internet fraud, even when friends whispered promises of quick money. Instead, he turned inward. One day, during a particularly cold and lonely break, he found an old HB pencil in his drawer. He picked it up and began to sketch a portrait from memory, his mother's face. That drawing, rough and unpolished, lit a spark. It became his escape. What began as a way to pass time became a lifeline. He started sketching his hostel mates, his lecturers, random faces from newspapers. He charged small fees, 2,000 Nigerian nairas here, 5,000 Nigerian nairas there. It wasn't much, but it helped him buy toiletries, recharge cards, and sometimes even a small bowl of rice. Then came a shift. A friend introduced him to acrylic painting. John had never used a brush before. He sold his phone to buy basic supplies: canvases, colors, a cheap brush set. He watched free YouTube videos, practicing on cardboard and discarded paper. What happened next was almost miraculous. His first acrylic portrait was of a market woman, tired but proud, carrying baskets on her head. It was raw, vivid, and emotional. He posted it online with borrowed data. By morning, the painting had gone viral among student circles. And then, someone messaged him. "How much for this painting? I'd like to buy it." It sold for 20,000 Nigerian nairas. To John, it was like millions. That sale funded his feeding for the next month and bought him more supplies. Slowly, word spread. Lecturers, visitors, even local business people started commissioning his work. Then came the international break. An art enthusiast from Kenya reposted his work. A gallery in London reached out. Collectors from Dubai, the US, and Ghana began asking for custom pieces. They paid in dollars and euros. John, the boy who once couldn't afford noodles, was now wiring foreign currencies into his Nigerian bank account. But success didn't change him. He still walked to class. Still greeted the hostel security guards by name. Still fasted and prayed. He never forgot his nights alone, his empty hostel during holidays, the hunger that gnawed his belly and tested his faith. He began teaching younger students how to paint. He held free workshops. He donated part of his earnings to help indigent students buy textbooks. Through it all, John remained grounded. He often said, "I may not have had silver or gold, but I had my hands, my will, and God." John's story isn't just about becoming a successful artist. It's about choosing the hard road when the crooked one seemed easier. It's about saying no to fraud when hunger screamed yes. It's about believing that every pencil stroke mattered, every brush line counted, even when the world didn't notice yet. This is a true life story inspired by Johnson Okeja. For more interesting and inspiring stories, kindly subscribe, like and share.